the demand for those degrees, the number of students doing those degrees is growing. Just get into the market in whatever capacity and then move up from there.
One thing that I got stuck here was the local experience trap. So what is this local experience trap?
Is arguably even more valuable than the degree.
I think the same thing, as you mentioned in the resume, it's basically you're selling it.
Because that's a quick rejection. We get like 1,000 applicants. So we were working with a superannuation company last year on their grad program. I think they originally wanted to hire 5 grads. They end up picking 4. We had over 4,000 applicants, and it's the worst feeling. It's happened to me before where I've fudged something on my resume. I went for the interview and I got called out and I felt so small and really stupid. It doesn't work all the time. Like, I still do this in my current job. Right. So just a very quick story.
Welcome back to Big Decisions. Tonight is a masterclass on getting your first job in Australia. First half, we talk about the market. What are you walking into? Which industries are hiring? The wall everyone hits? And what to do while you're still studying. Second half, we get practical, real job, real resumes, real LinkedIn profiles, all fixed live. My guest today has helped over 3,000 people get hired. Universities pay his company to place their students. Grab a pen. Naren, welcome to Big Decisions.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. So for our audience, if you can just introduce yourself, what you do, how you help people.
Sure. So I'm Naren. I'm the Program Director at Career Success Australia. And part of our work is partnering with different education providers like universities. And we help their students to transition into employment through different career workshops and work integrated learning programs and internships where we place their students into internships. We also help students directly through some of our direct partnerships we have with host companies that are looking to onboard interns for 12 weeks. And then we also have career coaching and career counseling programs where people are needing guidance, one-to-one support to transition into employment. And the final thing we offer is recruitment services. So companies come to us. They have vacancies. It could be graduate positions. It could be mid-tier positions. And so we do all the advertising, the shortlisting, the screening, and then we ultimately present our client, which is the company hiring, with usually it's 5 to 7 candidates for them to review. And then lastly, we do the reference checking and then provide the company with our recommendation on which candidate they should go with. So we sit on both sides of the fences. So we work with companies and then we also work with the candidates who are looking to get into the market.
Right, I think that's a lot. I think that's the whole package. Basically, anyone who is looking for a job, so you can see their thing from all the lenses. And I think that's a really good package. So I feel like when I was doing the research, I saw you have different companies. So I think you're doing different jobs at different companies. Maybe if you can explain people like what all companies you have right now and what do you do exactly in each of them so that they get a better idea of it. Yeah.
Sure. So our primary organization is Career Success Australia, which we've been involved with for over 10 years now. And that was the traditional careers services that we provided to students, grads, all job seekers and education providers. And then over the past couple of years, as technology has advanced and as there's a massive shift towards AI and technology-driven solutions, both in recruitment and in career development, we have another company called Samana Technologies that really focuses on developing technology-driven solutions to support both candidates and also also companies that are recruiting. So it's a lot of AI tools, AI resume builder, different platforms that education providers can use to optimize the way that they support students. So again, we're doing sort of the both areas. We're doing the traditional career coaching and internship services, but now we're transitioning into technology-driven solutions as well.
I think that's the best thing because many people, AI is still a new thing because people don't know how AI is affecting the industries, what is happening when you apply for an application. I think that's why you are the best guest today because you work with AI, you built a software, you built that way, so you can see from that lens as well. So that's great. I think now let's start with the overall job market in Australia. So if you can just tell people how is the job market right now and how was it different as compared to last 5 years? What changed? Yeah.
Yeah, look, there's been a lot of changes in the past 5 to 7 years, obviously with the pandemic, and now with the different conflicts happening globally. So it's a bit of an uncertain market. It's about confidence. So companies are still hiring, that is absolutely for sure. But I think there are different pockets. So there's different pockets of the economy and the job market, which some are buoyant or there's still a lot of demand, where other areas the demand is dropping off. So I think the important thing is for people that are currently working, I think the important thing is to try and predict what are the next skills in demand, what's going to happen with my role, what does my role look like in the next 2 to 5 years, and how can I position myself so that my manager, my director, the company owner can see me transitioning into the future type of role that I'll be in. And the second thing is for job seekers, I think, again, it's about positioning yourself, having the right skills, getting some sort of relevant industry experience to transition into the jobs that are going to be growing, whether it's through AI or healthcare services or potentially consulting where the human sits between technology, client, and business. So unemployment is relatively stable at the moment, but there's a bit of research coming out that's saying due to AI, the graduate job market may be challenged, and I can certainly see that. So I think for the listeners out there, if you are in your first year or final year of study, I think it's about really studying the job market, trying to predict what's going to happen next, and position yourself to be able to secure those types of roles.
Now, what's your prediction in terms of today's job market? Because I think it's I'll say it's still early to say, because things are happening so fast. Because whenever a technological change happens, people say next 5 years, next 7 years. But right now, the way things are changing, I feel like it changes every month, every 2 months. And but right now, based on your experience, let's say a student is graduating tomorrow, like what market they are entering in?
Yeah, it's challenging because obviously if you're halfway through your degree, it may possibly be too late to change into another course. But there was an article just came out this morning doing some research on the different study areas in bachelor degrees and the movements that are happening with the employment outcomes. And interestingly, IT graduates, the recent statistics were saying that there's a longer time period for IT grads to secure employment after graduation. Previously, it was very short. You would finish your computer science degree and you would have 2 job offers, or web developers, or even data science grads, pre-AI, they were being snapped up very, very fast, whether you were an international student or a domestic student. Whereas that's shifted now, where companies are investing more into AI rather than onboarding, say, 5 IT graduates for a 2-year grad program. They may take 1 or 2, but instead of taking 5, they're only taking 2, and then they're hiring more senior AI engineers to build in the system. So the article this morning in the Herald Sun was mentioning that IT grads are facing a longer time period before they get employment compared to health sciences like physiotherapists, obviously doctors, nurses, where there's more demand for those types of roles. So again, it's quite an interesting time. Again, it really comes down to studying the different jobs in your domain on Seek and LinkedIn, and identifying the trends and the patterns in terms of where are there going to be more opportunities in the next 2 to 3 years. The article this morning, they had a student profile, and I think he was in Queensland, and he had studied computer science a couple of years back, and he couldn't get a job in that field, and now he was working in more of a design type of role. So he didn't actually get into IT because there was just no opportunities. So he had to transition into something else.
I think that's a similar thing because many of my friends who graduated from IT, even from universities like Monash, one of the biggest university, they are not able to get into their own industry, so they are trying something new because it's been a lot of wait. Now, in terms of a lot of wait, as you said, it is taking more time. Like based on you deal with a lot of students, even now you might be dealing with a lot of clients. So, what is an average time frame like for a graduate to land a job?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of variables. It depends on the graduate's location. It depends on their particular academic background and industry. It can vary between 1 month up to 1 year.
Okay.
Speaking on personal experience, when I graduated many years ago from
Right.
Deakin Uni, it took me nearly 1 year to get my first business-related job,
Right.
and I was classified as a domestic student. I was born here.
Yeah.
My parents came from Sri Lanka, but even back then, we're talking 15 plus years ago. It took me 1 year. So, timing, a bit of luck comes into play. But you can certainly reduce that waiting time, irrespective of your industry, by doing all the right things in year 1, year 2 of your degree. And I think we'll cover some of that a bit later. But I guess you don't want to end up being one of those graduates who, you finish your course completion in, October, November, and then 6 months later, 1 year later, you're still, looking for that opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is it like as we are talking about IT, you give an example for IT. Now, let's first talk about industry so that people understand. Is it same for all the industries? What all industries do you normally deal with in terms of placing your students? So I think then we can discuss about which industries in terms of ranking is easiest to get and versus which one is the hardest to get.
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, if we look at the international student market, sometimes the course that they select is linked back to the easiest pathway to get a permanent visa.
Right.
And with domestic students, they have the luxury of not having to worry about getting PR, so
True,
they have a
true.
bit more flexibility and choice. But you can look at, if you take engineering as an example, and you look at, say, Seek.com, and you look at the graduate roles for mechanical engineers in Melbourne, I haven't checked recently, but on average, there may be anywhere between 30 to 50 graduate mechanical roles. And then you look at how many
Students.
mechanical graduates are coming out of all the universities in Victoria, and there's possibly thousands. So it's super competitive. So you have to find that edge. You have to find different ways to stand out, to snap up those rare opportunities that come up. And companies will certainly hire, irrespective of your visa. It does come into play, but ultimately they're looking for the best match, the graduate who has the best attitude, hardworking, they're a real team player, they can gel with the culture of the business. I'm hearing a lot from companies that they're hiring more on attitude than anything nowadays, and that they're happy to teach skills to the right person.
I think completely makes sense because even when I got my first job, one thing I've learned in Australia is the companies, when you get a new job, they know you don't know anything. They know all the graduates that are gonna come in, even they have distinctions, high distinctions. They don't have the actual practical work experience. But what they are looking for is basically a person who blends in their culture, who blends with their other employees, and who is happy to deal with the clients, in a better way. So these skills are something that also I've seen while working. So that completely makes sense. Now, but in terms of, let's say, as I asked you about the type of industries, now if we distribute in terms of, let's say, IT, accounting, engineering, so the case is similar for all of them, or let's say IT is into a more crunch or accounting is into a more crunch. What is your experience on it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a couple of years back there was possibly an oversupply of accounting graduates. But now what we're seeing is accounting and finance firms, their hiring interest or appetite is growing.
True.
So I think, interestingly, for accounting and finance graduates, there are really good opportunities out there. if you take IT as an example, IT again is a very interesting situation. And if you are an IT student or graduate, and maybe you've studied computer science or data science or even cybersecurity is like super popular now with so many boot camps and short courses and degrees, and even AI. The demand for those degrees or the number of students doing those degrees is growing. But the issue is there are not enough entry-level graduate roles. So we have a lot of, say, cybersecurity graduates wanting, to get a graduate role, but we're just not seeing the volume of graduate roles out there. So what I would recommend to any IT student, again, if you look at Seek and you look at the ICT sort of category, and when you click that, then you'll see all the subcategories of the different roles. You'll see, software developer, a business analyst. You'll see networking. The subcategory that actually has the highest number of entry level or graduate roles is IT support, technical support. Now it's a fairly not a basic job, but as an L1 support officer or analyst, you're doing things like Windows Server, Active Directory,
right,
helping people reset their password. It doesn't necessarily matter. You should still try and get into that type of role and then move up within the company.
I think that completely makes sense. It's basically if you're not able to find what you desired of, at least get into something that is closely related, so that once you are into it, and then you can, put that at least into your resume, and the company, the next employer that you are willing to go for, they know how the culture works, how the working conditions are, and I think that at least will make additional benefit to it. 100%.
You've got to get your foot in the door.
Foot in the door. I think that's very important.
Yeah. And the same thing happened with me when I finished my commerce degree. As I was mentioning earlier, I couldn't get a job for a year. The first job I got in this country was a marketing assistant role, a 3-month contract, and there was actually zero marketing work involved. It was basically admin work, but I couldn't care less. I knew if I could get that first break, I would prove myself and then work up and diversify into other areas. So it's about don't be too picky or fussy for that first role.
Right.
Just get into the market in whatever capacity and then move up from there.
Completely makes sense. I think this is one important tip for the people watching this who are trying to sticking into their industry, and they've already spent more than 1 year, finding the desired role, and they're just rigid towards getting it. So I think that's okay to be rigid, but it's important to at least get into something so that and you keep your job search on during that period. So I think that is a really nice tip you provided. So and I think one another thing is there are many people who come from different countries, international students who are even like when I came, I was 18. I just did my school. I came, so I didn't had a local experience in that way, but I still had a gap in when I was coming from India to Australia. So during that period, I did an internship so that I was like, let's if I get into I studied accounting, and I was like, I'll try to do that thing so that when I come, I'll land a job. But one thing that I got stuck here was the local experience trap. So they don't, the employers don't care about what you know. Like even though accounting, the principles are same, the laws changes and everything, but they don't care about it. They don't care, how to make profit and loss balance sheet. What they care about is if you have local experience. So what is this local experience trap? You might have seen in other industries as well. So I want to know what can happen and what people can do in order to bridge that local experience trap.
Yeah, I think having some sort of industry experience now is becoming more and more important, partly because I think employers now know that the universities are not necessarily teaching these students the skills and techniques and knowledge that industry actually wants, not in all industries, but in some industries. So I think companies have a little bit more confidence in hiring a graduate who has done, say, 3 months of industry experience with another accounting firm or an IT company. So it's a competition, Karan. So, if you're, and I encourage all the people watching to put their employer hat on, or one day in 5 years, 10 years, if you're hiring people and you get 2 CVs, and you can only pick one. One is an accounting grad with a Bachelor of Commerce accounting major from Deakin. And the other, same qualification, same year, but they've done a 3-month internship with H&R Block or whatever, or a local accounting firm. And on the CV, you can see this person has worked with Xero, they've worked with MYOB, they've done BAS statements, they've done a bit of APAR. I think you'd be more inclined to pick up the phone and call that candidate who's got that 3 months of experience. So, it's really important to try and get that experience either through your university. So I would go and knock on the door of all my unit coordinators or course coordinators and say, hey, can I do an elective unit? How do I get some experience? Check the university job boards. During your summer break or mid-semester break, just go and knock on the door of 50 accounting firms, small to medium accounting firms, and say, look, go with a suit and just say, look, I'd love to come and do a couple of days of volunteer work here. That's the best way, I think, to do it.
That's a really good tip. I'll share you my story. The first job I got here was, taking my resumes in. I was in my suit. I went to many accounting firms, and I just was giving the resumes, and many of them, they were like, they just took it and they did. But one of them, I land up when the boss was in, and he took my interview on the spot, and I got the job. So it's basically, I think the extra effort that you put in, that makes a lot of difference. And I feel like going to the traditional ways is also, because many people, they just feel like just applying through LinkedIn, applying through all the online portals. But I think you have to be creative when you are trying to look for something, and also you have to be on time. Like instead of just during your university, if you're feeling like you have that 3 years with you to just study and to maybe take that chill mode into you, but I feel like you have to utilize that time in a proper way, and your tip completely makes sense. Now, in terms of, as we were talking about, people who have experience back in the other country, definitely the local experience is very, very, very important. But someone who is, I've seen, chartered accountants from India who came here, but they were not able to get anything. Now, do you have any tip for them? Definitely, they'll try to reach out to local, small scale businesses in order to get an internship or something. But apart from that, in terms of using their, is that experience completely waste, or do you think they can do something in order to make that count in some way possible?
Look, it's definitely not a complete waste. Whether you talk about skilled migrants or even international graduates that come and do a master's here, they may have 2 years or sometimes even 5 years plus of experience back in their home country. The process just becomes a little bit more complex, again, because of this local experience challenge that a lot of people face. I think for skilled migrants that are coming here, networking is a huge part of being able to get a job here. Competing on Seek and LinkedIn with other candidates who may have 5 years, 10 years of Australian experience in accounting, finance, or engineering in particular is pretty tough, that local experience. Working on bridges and rail projects or high-rise, sometimes the engineering companies here, they really want people with that very specific experience. So you've got to try and position yourself if you have you're a CA from India or Sri Lanka or Malaysia.
Yeah.
You've got to try and position yourself on your CV and LinkedIn with showcasing your overseas experience in a way that links back to what that company wants. So It's about looking at the job advertisement, identifying the top 5 or 7 core things they want, and really presenting that on page 1 or in what I call a cold email out to the HR manager or director to say, look, here's what I can do for you. Here are all the problems I can solve for you based on my experience working on this project, that project. You don't have to say that it's from India or Malaysia.
Right.
So you've almost got to, remove that off the table so that they see you for the capabilities and experience and skills you can bring to them to solve their problems.
I think that makes sense as well. So basically, what I understood out of it is, when you see a job application or something, you scrutinize that in that way, what exactly they are asking for, and based on what you did in the other country or whatever it is, you have to showcase them, like apart from showing you did it from other country, you can showcase in terms of the projects or in terms of the things you did that
Yep.
time and what skills that are mutual in both the cases.
Yep.
And to just make the employer understand, if I've done it there, I can do it here as
Yeah.
well. So that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
But the single most effective way to overcome whatever visa issue you have or language issue you have is through the network. So, for example, how we got to know each other,
Yes.
you reached out to me on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. I wouldn't
Yeah.
be sitting here
Right,
unless you sort of connected with me, and then we had a chat and we got to know each other, and here we are doing something pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Now, as a hypothetical, like if I had an older cousin or a cousin my age from Sri Lanka with 10 years of experience at a small little unknown accounting firm in Sri Lanka with a CA, and they migrated here. Now that we know each other and okay, Naren's a good guy.
Yeah.
I would, and I know you work in accounting finance.
Yeah.
The easiest way for my cousin to get an interview would be for you to look at his CV or her CV, my cousin,
Yes.
and go, yeah, this experience is pretty much what we do at my firm.
Right.
And perhaps that, you've won like 3 new clients to manage their tax or whatever.
Yes.
And my cousin has some tax experience in a specific area. There's no harm in you like just forwarding my CV to the HR or to the director,
I
right?
think that's really
And so the director's probably going to go, you know what, Karan, who is a superstar in my firm, he's referring someone, right? They're going to look at that person and they will notice that, okay, they haven't worked in Australia, but they're more likely to give that person a chance.
I think that's a good way to explain. So basically, it's more about networking. First thing is you network. If you don't, because many people who come from different countries, they don't know many people here.
Yeah.
And the best way to network through reaching out on LinkedIn or reaching out wherever you can through local events or those kind of things. But once you network, you build a relationship with them. They'll definitely, if they know someone, as you gave an example, if you know me, you'll be like, okay, if you can have a look at least, and if there's anything opportunity comes. And there are many times actually, even the firms are looking for people, but they are not able to get it based on whatever reasons are, the money they are paying or whatever it is. And even a new person, they'll be willing to even come for an experience. So that's one thing. And I think in this I'll tell you my bit of a thing that I've learned during working. So I work in a mid-tier firms, and one thing is, if you reach out to people in that firm, the firms give you money for referring people as well. So it's basically an incentive for the other person as well that people don't know. So if someone reaches out to you, or you reach out to someone on LinkedIn and you are like, this is what I have, and if you have something that they can actually land up, they'll also try it because they're getting some monetary incentive out of it. And even if they're not getting it, they'll still try it because there is no loss that they are having. So I think that's a good one. And now let's start with, if someone, let's go back to the students who are, getting into their first degree here. And how do you think they should plan their university in the best possible way? Because I feel like all the things that you mentioned now, they can build up the network they can build in the university. And there's so many things the universities here provide. So what do you think? How should they structure their 3 years? Now, we'll start with year 1. What do you think they should do in year 1 to make it the best so that once they finish their 3rd year, they land up a job?
Yeah, I think, look, coming from overseas in your first year, you're probably, particularly in like Melbourne, if you come in semester 2, you're trying to deal with the cold here. But I think take some time to settle in, obviously. You've got to, I think, your planning starts from the minute you're coming to study here, and that could be like 1 year in advance or 6 months. That means you've got to start, finding out who they know that lives in that city that you're going to, finding your accommodation, getting some part-time casual jobs, going onto YouTube and exploring, this is the lifestyle, the culture, the market in that particular city. So just getting your head around that, I think, is important. And certainly exploring things like clubs and societies in year one. So I would just join as many, because look, if you're an introvert and you are a bit more reserved and quiet, I know it's tough, but I think, you're already making a really big, you're overcoming a big obstacle by leaving your comfort zone in your home country to come to an unknown country to study. So year one, try and expose yourself to as many clubs, societies as you can, meetup groups, try and build up your initial network. Focus on your studies as well. I always had a golden principle, which is never, ever, ever fail a university subject because it's a waste of money and it looks bad on your transcript. So I think year one is just getting comfortable on campus, doing the best you can academically, building up your networks with clubs and societies, and then starting to get employment, which is any sort of casual job, car washing job, supermarket job, cafe job, washing dishes. Even though I was born and bred here, I started working at my parents forced me to get a job because they thought, no, you need to learn these values and earn your pocket money. So getting that, again, that's networking. Whether you're washing dishes in a kitchen, getting paid $10 an hour, doesn't matter. Just do it. That will build on to other things.
Right. I think that makes sense. And the one thing that you mentioned, joining the clubs in the university, my experience with them has been really good because I'm an introvert as well. And I think my personality has changed and shaped because of the things I did. Because I think it changes for everyone based on the experiences you have. So I feel even if you go to the clubs, you sign up, even if you think you will not be able to talk to anyone, the people around talks to you.
Yeah.
They talk to you and they are like, they give you that comfort because the clubs, people who form the clubs, it is their responsibility to make everyone involved and they do it in a very nice way.
Yeah.
So I think it's better, even if you feel like you're not confident enough, just join it and just attend the socials and it'll be, you learn a lot of things and it'll help you a lot.
Yeah.
That's nice. And let's move on to the second year now. What do you think? First year, settlement done. They have joined the clubs. Now second year, what is your advice to them?
Second year, if it's a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, second year is your final year. But I think now is the time to start considering some sort of professional work experience. So whether it's, networking on LinkedIn, trying to get some sort of volunteer roles in a company within your industry, I think now's the time to start exploring those options. If your course offers the opportunity to do some sort of capstone project or industry project, I would certainly look at those options. Building on your casual employment, so you might start off as a cleaner or as a kitchen hand, and then try and transition into some sort of customer service role where you're more client-facing, whether it's retail or as a barista, where you're talking to people, you're meeting people, you're building your confidence and your communication skills. Potentially in your second year, when you're a bit more confident, try and get some sort of casual role in the industry that you ultimately want to work in. That has so many benefits for you. A quick example is I employed someone, he was on a 485 visa, and from day one that he arrived in Australia, not day one, but maybe within 2 months, he was studying a master, like an MBA, and he knew that there was no pathway to PR. This is going back in probably 2018, 19. But he managed to get a job at a mortgage broking finance company. He was still under the 20 hours a week international student working restriction, but he was basically contacting clients about their mortgages. Long story short, when he applied for his, I think it was a 494 regional visa, part of that requirement back then was to show 3 years of work experience in your field of study. Now, he had 2 years with me, but because he got into the professional job, even as a student on his student visa, that was still counted. So if he hadn't got that experience, he wouldn't have been able to apply for the visa because he didn't have the 3-year work experience.
True.
So in second year, if you can, even if you're studying engineering, get a job in some sort of manufacturing plant or company as a technician.
You're right. Makes sense.
In IT, get a job fixing computers. It might help you, down the road if and when you have to apply for visa and you need to show experience in your industry.
I have a similar story. I landed my first professional job, I'll say, in the mortgage broking industry
Right.
as well while I was a student.
Okay.
Second year, the way I got it was because since the time I came, I've been telling everyone I want to get into the professional. I want to, professional industry. I want to do internships. I'm happy to do it for free as well. All the people around me knew. And I even, tried to find it online, and I, did a 3 months internship unpaid, even though they didn't teach me anything. So I left it at a later stage, but I tried to put that effort and people knew about it. Now, one day I got an opportunity from a mate itself. He said there's a small role in a place where you have to do a cashier thing. So I went there, but that thing didn't work out. But the person who owned that thing, he's because of the time thing, it didn't work out. But later on, he was a mortgage broker himself, and he said, because when he was talking to me, I told him my intent that I am looking to get into this industry. I'm working I'm studying accounting, but I'm happy to get into it. And then he gave me an opportunity when he wanted someone. He called me, he said, I liked your intent. You wanted to get into it. I'm giving you an opportunity. As a student, I got that opportunity. And then because of COVID, I went back to India and he offered me full time. So I was stuck in India for like 3 years. But during 3 years, I was working with him just because I took that initiative before. Yeah. I was still able to make that money during that period. So I think these small things make a lot of difference, even if you feel it's not going to make it. But I think that's really good. So during that period, I believe, as you mentioned, when someone is in the second year, it's important they go out, they find the internships, even if it is unpaid, they should go for it. Do you think unpaid internships are worth it, or do you think it should, considering the local Australian thing, do you think people should just go for paid internships? Or?
Look, I think obviously getting a paid internship would be the preference, but I think once you've applied for 500 jobs, if you have no experience, I think the answer becomes pretty clear that my current CV or resume is not working, just showing my degree. I have to get some sort of experience. So if you can financially manage to do the unpaid internship, I think it's absolutely critical. It is arguably even more valuable than the degree. The experience you get, the confidence you get. But nowadays, last year we were recruiting for a graduate software development role with a big tech company in Queensland, and within 3 days of the ad being advertised, we had about 400 applicants. And we have an ATS applicant tracking software, and we basically stopped. We had a filter in there to see if there's no work experience, it doesn't go through. So basically, that cut out about 150 plus applicants because they didn't have any internship or work experience in technology, and that's for a graduate role.
That's weird. Graduate roles are expected. You don't know anything. You just came out of the university,
Correct.
But still you said a small internship, even if it is unpaid, your filter took those people out and never came in front
And that
of
wasn't
you.
our requirement. That was the company telling us we want, we only want to see CVs where they've actually got some casual work experience and some sort of IT, minimum 3 months of IT experience. And so that's where doing an unpaid internship adds that value. Now, I'm not saying go and work 6 months unpaid as an intern. No, do your 3 months, get the experience, put that on your LinkedIn, put on your resume, and then leverage it to try and get interviews for paid roles.
Right. And as we are talking about internship, when I was doing the research, I think one of your company helps people get internships, right? So over there, I saw 92% of the interns actually land a job. So what exactly do you do, or that helps them land a job?
Yeah, so essentially if a graduate comes to us fresh from uni, or maybe they've done an internship in their second year, but it's now 1 year out of date. And that's the other thing. Companies are looking for people, whether it's senior roles or grad roles, with relevant recent experience. So if your experience dates back 6 months, you can almost make, there's two really important points here. One is any experience that's over 1 year, some companies will look at that going, that's too far back. This person hasn't got fresh, recent experience. So whatever internship experience you do, it has to be within that 6-month period. Otherwise, it loses its value. Number two is you have to get a reference from that internship. So if you do an unpaid internship or paid one, and you're not contributing in a meaningful way and you're not adding value, and no one in that company can give you a reference, and I'm not talking about a written reference. Companies in Australia, we don't really care about the written reference because it could be written from anyone. What I want to do, if I'm doing my reference checks, is ideally I want to speak to your supervisor from your most recent company or current company, or someone within that company, to verify what you're telling me that you've done on your resume was actually done.
Right.
And that you actually worked there between June and October 2025, whatever the period. So the worst thing that could happen is you apply for a job with an internship, you get to the interview and they go, oh, we want to do your reference checks. Can I speak to someone where you did your internship? And you go, oh, no, I haven't got anyone. Question is like why? So if you haven't made an impact, so, then I'll be like, what did this person do on the internship if they haven't got anyone to verify? So, whether it's paid or unpaid, I think having that experience is really important.
I think a key highlight I got out of this is having an experience is important, and building relationships during that period is very important, because even if you're doing an unpaid internship and let's say even if it is outside of the work you did, the reference that people are going to give about your personality, about the skills you have, that are going to make a big impact, right?
Yeah. So about approximately half of the interns that we work with or place, depends on their year, but if they're graduates, about half will get absorbed after their internship.
Right.
So some companies will take an intern because they know we have an entry-level position coming up, and if this person proves themselves and works hard, we're just going to offer them the job. And what we find is 3 months after they finish the internship, once they put that internship on the CV and talk about it on LinkedIn and use it as part of their strategy of getting a job, within 3 months, they overcome that local experience blocker.
Cool. And you also mentioned one thing, putting that on LinkedIn. Many people, they just put it on, but I think putting it as a post, that's what you mean, right?
Yes.
I think that makes a big difference, right?
100%. So first of all, you've got to build up your connections. So again, you can start from before you even arrive in Australia. That's what I would do. So just to take the conversation on a different track, for students or grads, particularly students that are coming here, or maybe you're in your first year or second year, you should identify your end goal. If your end goal is to get PR, get a full-time job in my field, then work backwards to go, well, what are all the things I need to do? So just attending class and finishing in 3 years, that's not going to necessarily help you to get that job. You've got to do all those things we just spoke about in year 1, year 2, year 3. So I think, you've got to build that plan and have an end goal to go, okay, am I on track to achieving that?
Right. I think making the plan is very important. That is good advice. And now we are moving on to the final year. So the last year, you have a lot of difficult subjects you have to deal with. But in terms of getting a job, what is your advice? How should a student act?
Yeah, so I think for domestic graduates, all the grad roles sort of open up around, depends now, they're a bit different, but usually around Feb, March for the next year. So certainly apply for all the different grad roles. There's websites like Grad Connection, Prospel that have all those grad roles, or just use AI, come up with a list of all the companies that are hiring or that have graduate roles. If you're an international grad, look at the companies that have specific graduate role intakes for international students, and start obviously working on those. I think it's really important to try and get some sort of internship in your final semester or final trimester. so that you coincide, you graduate, course complete, and you've got 2 to 3 months of experience at the same time. So if you're an international student, you've got your full-time work rights because you've finished your course, you've got your degree or course completion, and you've got the experience. Those are the 3 main things you need to get a full-time job in your field.
Right. All good. And I think one thing during the first 2 years as well, let's say overall the period of degree, one thing is work integrated learning units. So what do you want to, like, can you explain students a bit more on it? Because I did a work integrated learning unit, and this was something, an Australian thing that I did. Like I never knew about those units, and I got to know about by end of the second year, but they were also available in the first year because I didn't ask my coordinator that question, and I was not told about that. So if you can just explain people what exactly those are.
Yeah, so work integrated learning is essentially not all courses and not all universities offer it, but it's basically one unit that you can do in your degree that allows you to go out and do it. Sometimes it's like 100 hours or 150 hours. So we partner with Edith Cowan University and a couple of other unis, and ECU over in Perth. They give pretty much all their business students the opportunity in first year, second year, third year to go out into industry and do 100 or 150 hours of placement. So I would also encourage students to pick a degree with an institution that offers a work integrated learning unit within the course. I think that's super important.
So I think that's a tip when you're choosing a course, when you're choosing a university. So what thing you have to see is, one thing is what all units they're offering.
Yeah.
Because I studied at Deakin and they had more than one work integrated learning unit. They have a lot of electives. So you can either choose you want to study something here, or I chose myself. I went to London for like 15, 20 days. It was an experience, a really good experience. I learned a lot of things, met so many new people. And, those units help a lot. Like based on the first interview I had, in my resume, I mentioned about that. So basically that was not related to what I studied. It was a marketing kind of unit that I did in London. But I think these units give you a story as well to talk during an interview. And one of my employers, they asked me, because I did it with Lotus Driving Academy and Lotus Cars, and he was a car enthusiast. So he got interested by that. And instead of just asking, specific interview questions, he was like, what did you do there? Like, did you actually drive the car? And that kind of questions. And I think that builds a connection that tells an employer that you are not just on your work. You do other things as well, and you have a broader personality than just the work personality. And I think that's what the employers are looking for, right?
I think so. Yes, not just proving that you can go and get a degree, but it's about all the other things, whether it's different passion projects or interests you have, whether it's in investment or whether it's cooking or something like that. I think for graduates, putting relevant or interesting hobbies and interests on your CV can work for you if it's done correctly. If people are putting things like, whether it's, rock climbing or even, piano, I think that could potentially turn into a good talking point. So
right, yeah.
Those things are fine.
So I think this just not build your skills, it gives you the talking point, because you need to have stories to talk to people. Communication, I think one key effective thing about communication is you need something to talk about. And you build these during your university times.
100%. And I think when you're at uni, and I'm an example of someone who was a bit lazy at university, I didn't do any of these activities. And if I could go back in time, I would have certainly done a study abroad. I should have definitely done that. But I think you've got to look for those opportunities within the unis. So, for example, when I worked at Monash and Swinburne, there were opportunities for students to be ambassadors, to be volunteers at open days, to work as a student advisor for, or a mentor for first-year students, get involved in orientation. So if you can get involved in that, that definitely goes on your resume. At the top, where if you are a student ambassador, where you coordinated 15 events, or you become the treasurer or the president or vice president at the Sri Lankan Student Association or the Indian student club at Deakin, you'll get to meet different people in industry when you organize industry events for your club. So
Right.
these are the things you've got to do that will really give you that 1%, 2% advantage.
I think as you're talking about universities now, you mentioned about the clubs first, and then you mentioned about taking on these positions and the work integrated. So there are so many things that universities are offering, and many people they don't even know about. So just like work integrated one, I said it was offered in the first year as well. Like I could do a study abroad there, and I did it in second year. I didn't have opportunity to do the other ones. I wanted to do more, but I didn't have the opportunity to do it. So I think there are many things that universities offer, but people don't know about. So in terms of that, as your experience is basically you have worked with universities and now you work under a business space with them. So what do you think are the facilities that universities offer? Because international students pay hefty fees, and in order to utilize in the best possible way, because I feel universities give a lot of things. They have a lot of funding for so many things. So can you just tell the students like what all things they can engage in apart from the ones that we have already told?
Yeah, I think most of the universities have pretty decent careers and employment departments that run lots of workshops, lots of events. Some of them provide the one-to-one coaching as well. So you should definitely take advantage of all of those. And any sort of like industry-related events that they put on, like careers fairs, definitely participate in that. But whatever sort of one-to-one services they can provide, particularly with careers and employability, I think that's an area that you can take advantage of. I know speaking to lots of students, one of the big challenges, especially for an international student, is, often you're working 2 jobs, you've got a full-time study load, you've got your rent to pay, you've got to find where your next meal's coming from. So it's not, it's not easy. There is a really great organization called, they used to be called VicWise, but now they're Ozwise.
Oh, okay.
They provide a lot of pastoral care support for international students. So I think, those types of organizations, they also take volunteers. They run some amazing events. So definitely get involved in those types of not-for-profit organizations as well. But I think you've just got to go looking within your university, speak to like your course advisor, go to student services. At orientation, they will talk about all the different types of activities they run. Sometimes they'll have collaborative events with industry. They'll get industry partners to come in, go to those events as well.
That's good. I think another thing I'd like to add to it is the alumni network of the university. So people can use that as well, I feel, in a very good way, because there was an event in my university where some alumni came who did wonderful. And one advice they gave was basically to reach out to them so that they can help. They love to help because even let's say as I am a Deakin graduate and someone comes to me say, you just have a kind of a relationship. You just feel like even if you don't know them, you just feel like that person is from the same universities. And I think the way I reached you out as well, I specifically mentioned you are a Deakin grad. My goal was to build that relationship with that message, and I feel like because I feel it that way. And if someone wants to reach out to me, definitely I'll be happy to help. And I think definitely you are actually helping a lot of people. So you're actually doing the work. And even if they reach out to other alumni, they can definitely help in that regard as well. And as we mentioned about, you said volunteering and those things. Now, during the university period, you said build connections. That connects with networking. Now, what do you think is the best way for students? I think we already covered it in terms of going to the clubs and those kind of things, but actually using the network in the right way is another thing. Just going to those events is one thing. You are just participating a bit, but using that in an effective way. What do you think is the right way to network properly in a student space?
I think number one is you've got to build those connections first, whether it's through LinkedIn or through your personal interactions, through events and opportunities through different club societies or meetup groups or events, or even volunteer work. Whether you volunteer with RSPCA or Red Cross, big events. Even they have like the Melbourne Marathon. There'll be tons of volunteering opportunities with them. Melbourne Airport, you can volunteer. In the city, okay. You can volunteer, things like that. So once you have that connection, then you've got to sort of identify a potential opportunity through that network or the person that that you're connected to. So, for example, you might volunteer at the local Vinnie's for 2 hours on a Saturday, and through that you might find someone else that volunteers their husband or wife or partner works at Deloitte, as an example, and maybe you're studying accounting. So the minute you find out that that person knows someone at Deloitte, you're not going to say, "Here's my CV, can you give it to them and I can start Monday." It's not going to work like that. You've got to subtly, slowly, get to know them and say, I'm really looking to get some experience, or I'm looking for someone who can sort of, give me 1 hour session on international tax law or something like that. And then you can say, look, I don't know, would your husband or would your wife just be able to give me some sort of tips for a coffee or something? Now, it may not happen the first time you ask one network, but if you ask 10, right, it's a numbers game as well. That lady at Vinnie's might go, "No, my husband's too busy. He hasn't got time for you." Okay, that's fine. Then it's okay. Well, I'm going to go to the next person. Opportunity will breed opportunity. So
True.
I think you've just got to, and it's like fear of missing out. I'm the same with my work. I don't think I would have had the wins that I've had. I've had a lot of losses as well, but the opportunities that I've got have become from a bit of fear of missing out, not sending that email, not doing that little outreach, not connecting on LinkedIn, right? Because that could lead me to something better or more.
I think small things make a big impact. People don't consider, people are just like, okay, we'll stick to the traditional ways, finding a job that way and they'll get a job. But I think, as you said, just 50 job applications, but so many employees, you have to get creative. You really need to get creative and use all the technology, all the resources that are available in the best way. Because if you're not using it, there are many people who are using it and they're going to definitely steal your place.
Yeah, 100%. There's just you've got to do the X factor things now. There's just too much competition and you've got to step out of your comfort zone. Look, even if you don't do all these things, there's a very good chance you will still get a really awesome graduate role.
Yeah.
You could be the laziest graduate with fails and a few P's and a couple of credits, and your lucky stars, you will get an amazing opportunity, maybe with sponsorship that'll just land on your lap. That's just the way things work. But for the most of us, it doesn't happen like that.
True. And as you mentioned about, with few P's, one question that comes into my mind is, based on current job market, do you think transcript plays an important role right now? Or people are just more focused on the skills, the culture blend part? What do you think?
I spoke a little bit earlier about companies not really, caring too much about the degree. And there certainly are still companies that we were like, we only hire Monash, Melbourne and RMIT grads. Or we only hire Swinburne grads for mechatronics engineering because they're the best. Right. Or we only take our nursing grads from ACU. That's all fine. But there'll be other companies that will be like, I don't really care. As long as you know the different Python libraries that we're interested in, that's all I care about. I couldn't care less if you've got a master's from wherever. But I think having an academic transcript that shows that you have performed relatively well at uni matters, because, again, it's like the unknown. You might apply for a job, get down to the last 2 candidates, and then they say, send us a copy of your visa status, passport, and academic transcripts. And that happened to me when I applied for my job at Swinburne Uni back in 2007. The faculty manager at the time, Moira, she must have retired by now, but I got down to the last 2, and she asked me for a copy of my transcripts for my bachelor's degree. I had one distinction, 60% were credits, the other, 30% were passes, and luckily no fails.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God, I'm in big trouble because this is a university and she wants my transcripts for a reason. And I sent it to her, and I knew just sending it without some sort of explanation why there are so many Ps.
Right.
So basically, I submitted that with like a proposal on how I could benefit the faculty of ICT at Swinburne. And I basically gave a little blueprint on here's why I said, my academic results are not outstanding because that doesn't get the best out of me. Sitting in a lecture theatre, writing assignments, that's not the best for me. The best for me is coming into a business, seeing what the issues are, using my creativity and coming up with solutions to solve the problem in the best way. And so I sort of pitched myself in that way to overcome the pretty average transcripts. And, it would have been a lot easier if I just had more Ds and a couple of Cs. So,
But you got the job, right?
I got the job, yeah.
But I think that's a very good point in this regard. So there are many people who are not good in giving exams. It's not like they don't know it, or everyone is different. And there are many graduates who might be like, it's their third year and they've already have a messed up transcript. Let's say just P's and C's. But as you mentioned, if you have that kind of transcript, that does not mean that you can't land a job. It's basically as you proposed, you put a proposal next to it. If someone is asking you just for a transcript, you shouldn't be just like, I'll give the transcript, be silent, I'm losing the job.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be just doing that way. You have to think what you can do. And the way you added the proposal, you mentioned to them, even though your results are not outstanding, what extra you did. Like, you are different in that way and you can help in that way. So that's a really good point.
Yeah, and I almost feel like, given how tough the competition is for graduates, I think you almost have to now submit your resume, cover letter, and some sort of proposal, or like a video, like interview as well. So nowadays I'm like massive on like a video interview. So I don't we all get resumes, but now I think my prediction might be in 5 years' time, resumes won't even exist.
Yeah.
Because who knows what's on them, really? You could say anything. And it's a little bit with LinkedIn as well. So the only way that you get to know if a candidate has the right communication skills, has the right attitude, technical skills, is if they submit like a 2-minute video, like an intro video. And I love those because very quickly I can see, yep, person presents really well. They clearly know the role they're applying for, what it's about, how they can add value, their skill set. And I think that's sort of where we're heading now, where selection will be based on a lot of these types of video interactions or AI chat interactions with a bot that gives you a rating as well.
I think that's a very great tip that students should look at. As you said, it will change in the coming time. I feel people who are in this year, let's say, because this is not very popular video interviews. Now, if you want to get yourself different from other candidates, take that step. Even if you're attaching your resume, just attach it, but attach a video resume in that way, and that will make you different. And I think that will help you. People will know like what sort of personality you are, how do you speak, and that will get you that interview that you're looking for.
100%. I would almost encourage people now on your resume and your LinkedIn profile, particularly if you're actively job hunting or looking for internships, it's like create like a 2-minute video, and maybe it'll take you 100 takes. Go and get some help to do it, but put that as a link on the top of your resume, because I'd love to do a survey or some sort of research. If we sent out 100 resumes to recruiters or hiring managers with a 2-page resume, LinkedIn URL, video introduction, I would love to know what percentage don't even read the resume or click LinkedIn, but they click, I want to see who this person is. I reckon it'll be pretty high.
I think that's a human nature as well. You like to see
who is this person? Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, what do they sound like? What are they going to wear?
Yes.
And I'd be emailing that out, because I think if you can demonstrate that, you can demonstrate who you are, because no one knows who's behind that resume. And I think people will be more inclined to be like, this person has gone the extra mile to present themselves in this way. I would certainly try it.
Oh, really nice, Naren. Now that's the map, the market, the industry is the ball, and how to use your ears at university. Now, before we get into the practical stuff, now you have, because you are into the recruitment side as well and you coach people as well, you sit on the both sides. Now, after all those years and all those people, what's the one thing that you see still students get wrong?
There's a lot of things students get wrong. And I think this is a interesting point, which is recruiters or hiring managers, we're not looking at, sometimes we're looking for the mistakes because that's a quick rejection. So even if we get like 1,000 applicants, so we were working with a superannuation company last year on their grad program. I think they originally wanted to hire 5 grads, they end up taking 4. We had over 4,000 applicants across a couple of different streams, but we've had a filtering process. But then when we got down to the last sort of 200-300, where the human, we had colleagues of mine looking at the CVs, we were looking at reasons to reject, okay, such as poor writing, not structuring the CV correctly, not showcasing any relevant skills. So I think when you get down to that, what we call the pointy end, which is your resume or even the interview, it's about people making bad mistakes like forgetting to put phone numbers, unprofessional email addresses, sending a generic CV as well. So if you're applying for a finance grad role, and clearly in the job ad, it's all about finance related key skills and activities, but you're sending me a generic accounting resume, I'll be like, reject. Or if it's IT and we're recruiting for a data science role, but you're sending me more, maybe you showcase 2 projects, but they're all software development. I'll be like, it's not the right match, so reject. So poor formatting, fundamental mistakes like international students putting currently on a student visa, will transition to 2-year visa. It's too complicated. Just get rid of all that stuff. Try and get to the interview, then talk about the visa situation. So those are like basic things that I see people getting wrong.
Right. I think that's a good amount of things you mentioned, and it's just I asked you for one, you gave me many, because I feel like I think the reason you gave many is because you see it on so many so many students doing the same mistake, and I think people can use these. They know these are the things recruiters or hiring managers are looking at. Now, at least if you are applying for your next job, go to these things and fix your resume or fix your way of applying in that particular way.
Yeah, just another quick one. Part of our sort of strategy is, even if you submit your application on Seek or LinkedIn, there's no harm in finding the company email address, ideally director of HR, HR manager, or in the job ad on Seek or LinkedIn, it might say, this graduate engineer reports directly to the manufacturing manager within the chemical engineering, da-da-da. You can go to LinkedIn and find out, it's Dion Smith. He's the manufacturing manager in the chemical. You can very easily find their email address. Sometimes it can be a bit risky, like spamming someone's personal email.
Yeah.
It does backfire where you get a bit of a grumpy person, be like, how did you get my email?
True.
But 90 times out of 100, I think they'll be like, it's not bad. Let me just quickly check who this person is. And if you've got your video resume or video introduction in the body of the email, it's so easy for Dion, the manufacturing manager, click on that. And you can even personalize it, where you can say, Hi, Dion, I'm Naren.
True.
I'm a recent chemical engineering graduate from Swinburne. I'm applying for this job because I have a deep passion for process engineering, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Simplot is like one of Australia's top companies. I'd love to be part of your team. I hope you're given the opportunity to come and meet in person to talk about how I can do da-da-da-da-da.
I think what you have told right now is basically there are steps how a resume, and when a company is hiring for a person, there are steps the resume pass, and the HR team, They look at all the resumes, they give finalized one, and then it goes to, let's say, the manufacturing. That person also has a role in deciding who will be on his team. So we have skipped one step. We have already on the next step, even though the HR team might not have selected you, but the other person have already seen you. He might be like, that person has taken an additional initiative on it and he is willing to. The willingness makes a big difference as well. I think that's a really good way to, crack the competition and get your way out.
Yeah, it doesn't work all the time. Like I still do this in my current job. So just a very quick story. We're doing work with different universities, and we had a meeting with one uni, and it was going okay. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go directly to the vice chancellor. So to the head person, and I sent them an email. And in some situations, they write back going, like with Deakin Uni, it worked. We got like a meeting with very senior academic people. Another uni, it backfired where that person sent my email to the person coordinating this project, and that person said, "Hey, listen, stop contacting the big people. You just deal with me directly." And I'm like, "Yeah, no worries." So it can work, but it's worth a chance, I think.
Again, being creative. Like if you're not
what's
able
the worst
to,
that can happen?
Yeah, true. What's the worst that could happen? Yeah, true. That makes sense. And I think now you have named the doors. Now, like basically the goal is we are getting into the practical stuff now. And we'll start with when we are looking for a job. Someone is looking for a job right now. First, we'll start with what platforms are available and how will you rank them?
Look, there's obviously a few of the main job sites: Seek, LinkedIn, Indeed, and there's like ethical jobs as well. Some companies will have their own careers pages as well, the big companies. But also check out like the big recruiting companies like Hayes and Hoban and Michael Page, and there's tons of others. Paxos for IT, People Bank for IT, Design and Build for engineering. So they will also have vacancies on their sites. You can also upload your CV onto those recruiter websites. So that goes into a database. And if you have the right skills, keywords on your CV, they will search in their database first. Similar to like your Seek profile. So you should have, if you're job hunting, always have an up-to-date keyword optimized Seek profile as well, so you get found easily.
So get found on your Seek profile as well. It's just it's similar to LinkedIn where
you bit.
Oh, okay. A little bit. Oh, okay.
So sometimes recruiters will get or Seek, depends on what plan you're on as a recruiter. Seek will send you relevant candidates as well to shortlist from. So you want to be visible on Seek as a candidate.
Right. So now we know all the platforms that we can use, and you specifically mentioned apart from the platforms, we can go to the recruitment agencies' website as well, and they do. Now, in terms of recruitment agencies, what do you think? Like, are a lot of graduate opportunities available through recruitment agencies? The reason I'm asking this question is because when I was trying to find one, when I just graduated, one thing a lot of recruiters told me was we don't deal in student graduate recruitments. We just deal in if you have 1 year experience or 2 year experience, like a junior role or that kind of thing, we can help you with that, but we can't help you. And it was very difficult I couldn't find anyone in that space. And the people I was finding, they were charging me money to get internship, that kind of thing. That is okay, but that is okay, I'll say, during my university part. But when I'm already graduated, I don't want to spend time in unpaid internships and those kind of things. So what is your opinion on it?
Yeah, I mean, there are not too many graduate recruiting agencies that will help you. Most of the recruiters are looking for people with experience. So as a student or a graduate, again, you've just got to go directly to the companies. Obviously, when you apply for jobs on Seek, there will be graduate roles advertised by recruitment agencies. And you've got to, again, follow the same rules, which is keyword optimize your application, connect with the recruiter on LinkedIn. Another really important thing is to apply for the job within 24 hours of it being advertised. So sometimes, if you're not proactive and you haven't got your job alert set up and you're applying for jobs every day, particularly within that 24, maximum 48 hours, you might lose out on the opportunity because sometimes the recruiter might get 100 applicants, 200 applicants in a couple of days. And they'll move very quickly. Recruiters act very fast when they like you. When they don't like you, you can't. They won't answer your calls. They won't respond to your emails. So they're a bit funny like that. But you have to apply very quickly. Otherwise, they'll already find 3, 4, 5 candidates that will already go off to their client, the company.
As you said, there are very less recruiters in this space. And how do you help in this area?
So when we are employed by a company to manage their recruiting, so we again follow what the company wants, which is if they want someone with qualification A, skills B, visa C, we follow those rules. But we will also advocate for the best candidate.
Right.
So some companies will say, look, we only want candidates with PR. But if we feel there's an international graduate with 2 years of full-time work rights, but clearly they're the best, we will always send that across and say, listen, this person is by far the best candidate that we've interviewed. They are on a 2-year visa and they are in the process of getting PR. We would recommend you interview them and leave it up to the company. We can't force them. So we work with the companies, but we'll also work with graduates as well and students. So we have different career coaching programs and we will always tell the student or graduate first, try on your own. If you apply our sort of logic and principles, which we'll cover a bit later, it is a bit of rocket science. It's not rocket science, but I think you can do it yourself. But if you want to work with us in a partnership where we're coaching you, mentoring you, doing a lot of the work with you and for you, we will not like just get you a job. That's not how it works. Ultimately, you have to sit the interview. You have to pass probation.
Right. Yeah.
So we have different programs where we can support you in that journey. But I think if you do all those things yourself, like use AI to optimize your CV, create your video resume, prepare like a short proposal to a company. If you do that to 100 companies, you should get a couple of interviews and offers.
I think that's really nice. So you can help people if they are not willing to spend the time into doing their own research, because I feel like all things you are telling today, it's basically very transparent and things that are actually in the practice, and there is no selling done here, because you are happy to tell everything, and in the coming like soon we'll be exploring everything that you provide your students as well. So that's a really good thing. And now let's go into, because now we know where to apply, let's go when we apply, what happens after that? Because at Samana you have the platform, you know what happens, like how AI is used by the employers. You're telling you employees use AI, but employers are using it that way. Let's first understand how employers are using it, and once we press that apply button, what happens?
Sure. I'll come to that in a sec. Just a couple of things. I would encourage all the viewers to explore platforms like Claude or even Kimi, which has just come out.
Yeah. Recently used it. Yeah.
Yeah. And just go a bit nuts and create your own like job search or job application agents. I haven't explored it too much, but I'm sure it's not too hard, and I'll definitely going to try it. But maybe just deploy a couple of agents on your own and get them to work on your behalf. I read an article recently, I think a guy I think it was the US, he deployed agents to apply for jobs, specific jobs that the agents found matched his profile. And they were doing all the CV optimization, the cover letter writing, even emailing companies direct. And he got like 25 interviews within like 3 weeks. Yeah. So I think it's something worth exploring. It can backfire, obviously, but
True.
I think and again, definitely try that as an experiment and see how you go.
Yeah, because I also heard, I think Claude does it. So what happens is basically you just tell the model, it automatically search different jobs based on what you like, and then it changes your CV, changes your resume, the way a personalized resume, personalized CV for all, and it applies. Now, as you mentioned that, because employer side, now they also know this is happening, and I feel like employer has this tendency, they want people to take that effort to actually apply themselves.
Yep.
And they might be deploying the softwares on their end that can detect, is it an AI generated thing or is it the one that a person has done themselves? So what do you think, like when we apply, after that, does it go to an AI agent, or what is happening now?
Yeah, so it'll either go through an ATS filtering system, and it's scanning your resume for keywords. And another little interesting thing that you can do is when you are applying for a job, just do a Control F, and try and find, like, let's say you're applying for, I don't know, like a database developer role, and SQL is a keyword. So if you do a Control F on the job ad and search for SQL, you might find it comes up 6 times. Any keyword or key skill or requirement that comes up more than like 3 times, it's pretty important for the company. And so go to your resume and cover letter and then do a same thing, Control F. How many times have I mentioned the word or term SQL? And if it doesn't come up, you're going to get rejected when the keywords are doing a matching. So the ATS will be like, okay, SQL is a priority keyword, or zero, or process engineering, or customer service, or leadership, whatever it is. If that keyword is really prominent or comes up in the job ad numerous times, you've got to equally match that in your resume. You can't go over the top and have SQL or SQL 50 times. It'll be like, this person's keyword stuffing their resume. But you've got to weave it in a nice way so it goes, so that the ATS is scanning and goes, yes, this is a CV that ticks all of the keyword requirements we have, and it goes into you'll get a ranking, or you'll go into the interview pile.
Oh, right. So basically, first a machine scans you, and if those keywords are there, then you reach out to the human, right?
Correct, yeah. Or, so it might go through an ATS filtering system or an AI keyword system first, or it'll go to a HR manager, the traditional way. We still do some roles, if it's not high volume. We were recently recruiting for a client services role, like a junior role for a company in Sydney. And we only had about maybe 60 or so applicants. And I didn't even bother because I'm pretty quick at going through CVs. So I just quickly scanned, and it took me like 20 minutes to pick the top 5. And so me and my colleagues, we've trained ourselves to be like human ATSs, very quick. And so I picked up the top 5, and I thought, yeah, these are probably the best 5 in terms of what our client is looking for. And then we'll call the student or the graduate or the applicant for an interview.
So basically, a machine sorts you and the human skims you, and you have to survive both.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, you are now the recruiters or the hiring managers, they have developed skills in themselves. They, like, in the first 5 seconds, or they reject or they accept the resume. Let's do it practically now.
Sure.
What we'll do is let's do it with the audience first. We'll put them 3 resumes, and then we'll take your advice. So you decide which you think will be accepted and which you think will not be accepted. And now I'll give these 3 to Naren, and we'll take his expert advice. So Naren, there are 3 resume tests I have.
Yep.
Now, please tell me, and like, which one you'll accept and which one you'll reject, and why.
Sure. So this is a really good practical recruiter scan test that you guys can do. So, as part of this activity, what I would recommend is we're going to show you, I think, on screen, we'll show 3 resumes for about 5 or 6 seconds, because the average time a recruiter actually spends looking at resumes is about 5 to 6 seconds. So you can play the role of the recruiter in this situation and have a look at each of these 3 resumes for 5 seconds. And then what we'd like you to do is basically pick the CV or the resume that you would interview. If you only had to pick one, so there are 3, but you can only interview one, which resume would you pick? So we'll show those, and then
Yes.
we'll do an assessment of it.
Yeah, let's give 2 seconds to the let's give 5 seconds to the audience,
Sure.
and then we'll take your 5 seconds. It's your time now.
Cool. So, in terms of the one that I would pick, or the one that we do this exercise a lot, the one that usually gets everyone's attention is resume number 2, which is the this one looking here. So that's usually the one that gets picked for a whole variety of reasons. But we'll look at, if you picked resume test 1 or resume test 2, that's okay. But there's a few mistakes in that I'll just highlight. So in resume test 1, the first main issue that I see is they've used the word profile in the profile statement, which is not a keyword. So every word that you have in your resume is an opportunity to build in keywords. So in Karen's case, for accounting finance roles, instead of using the word profile, I would be putting in accounting and finance graduate profile. Because accounting and finance are likely to be keywords, and then you're putting them in your profile statement. So in this role that you're doing the test, it's for a marketing grad role. So the profile statement's actually pretty solid. It's talking about advertising with 1 year of experience in lead generation, creative advertising. One of the things that might be pulled up as a red flag is Chinese content marketing planning. So if that's not in the job ad, remove it, okay? Because the company is not looking for someone who can do Chinese content marketing planning. But if in the job ad it said, we are looking for a candidate with skills and experience in Chinese content marketing planning, then put it in and put in bold. So very quickly, the profile statement's not bad. The employment history is not bad either. It's got the role, the company and the location, and there's a date there, all good. It's missing something in the employment history called key responsibilities and key achievements. So I would be putting 2 categories in your employment history or internship experience: key responsibilities and key achievements. Try and use what we call verbs or action words. So the first one would be planning, developing, and creating advertising campaigns. Right. But if we look at that first bullet point, it's missing more content. So I would be saying planning, developing, and creating advertising campaigns, including 1 and 2, where I performed A, B, C.
Right.
So tell the reader what you did. Now, if we look on the right-hand side, it's got skills. Again, that's not bad, but I would avoid things like fast learner, effective time management. If it's in the job ad, it's probably okay. But when we look at skills, what we also want to add are things like evidence of that skill. So we've got to build that in. Languages, unless the job ad explicitly says we're looking for someone with Chinese and Cantonese speaking capabilities, leave it off. Unfortunately, some companies may discriminate against you, thinking that your main language is Chinese and English is second. So leave off languages.
But before that, you mentioned evidence. What evidence can they provide on that?
Sure. So with the skills, if it's like Adobe Creative Suite, so let's say in the job ad, in the requirements section, they say must-have skills or essential skills, Adobe Creative Suite.
Yes.
So it's very basic to put Adobe Creative Suite. So you've got to put that, and it's probably in example 2, where you put that in bold and then put 1 sentence on how you've done it. So you could say, used Adobe Creative Suite, including Photoshop and InDesign, to create magazines and brochures for key clients such as DA. Or used Adobe Suite in my final year project to create social media campaigns using this element of Photoshop or blah, blah, blah.
So basically telling, by reading this, the employer knows that you have implemented in the right way. And I think that makes a good evidence out of it. Yeah.
So you can use words like proficient or experienced in Adobe Creative Suite through delivering projects such as.
Right.
By just putting Adobe Creative Suite, it doesn't tell the hiring manager like how much? Have you just seen it at Officeworks when you walk past?
True.
So that's, yeah.
And I think one additional thing they can do is, because all these companies, they do free, certifications as well. If they can do it, that'll be the best evidence ever.
Definitely. You could just say, I recently completed a short course on LinkedIn Learning.
Yes.
Where I used Photoshop and InDesign and Illustrator to do da-da-da.
And you have the certificate to show it. So
exactly.
That makes sense. Yeah.
We'll look at resume 3. A couple of quick tips here. Work experience. So in Australia, we usually say work experience for year 10 students. So you could put professional experience or employment history. Another thing that I would recommend, this is a bit off track, but if you've done an internship, sometimes I avoid saying, marketing intern. I try and use the word marketing trainee. I think trainee is a better term than intern. For some crazy reason, even though I manage internships, when I see the word intern, I think that's the person who goes and makes the coffee and does the photocopying.
Okay, yeah.
So I think traineeship is fine, but use the word like, even if it's an internship and that's all you have, I would still classify it under professional experience.
Right. Okay. So that also makes a difference. So basically where you are putting things in, like you can't just put that internship in the main work area that you have actually done. It's putting into a separate area, or as you mentioned, it makes a lot of difference.
Correct. Yeah. Couple of quick ones on this one. So if you look at the first experience production supervisor, Heritage Products Australia, it's not telling us which city. One of my pet hates, or the things I don't like, is when they just put a date, like 2020. Like, is that like March? Is it September? Like, what's the month? Always put the months. Again, this person is missing responsibilities and achievements. And it's got some good things in there, like quantifiable evidence. Like in bullet point 3, it says manage a team of 5 people, resulted in a 60% increase. So try and quantify the information you're putting in to your CV. You can look at the About Me section. Again, there's no keywords. It should be like marketing assistant profile or marketing graduate profile. And it says, I am driven and focused in developing my career in a successful environment. I want to be part of something special and make a difference. So there's 0 keywords in that. On your resume, the profile statement at the top is one of the most important sections. It's like an executive summary. You've got to put in your key skills, your qualifications, projects you've delivered, and most of all, the impact you can make to the company you're applying to. So in that About Me section, they're not telling us what value they can bring, what skills in marketing they have, what marketing projects they've got.
Right. So do you think, as we are talking about the 5-second test, the first 2 seconds you directly look at the About Me sections, or like what is the first point you look at?
For a graduate, yes. For graduate roles, I'm just looking at who you are, what have you studied, what skills have you got. So I'm scanning that. For more experienced positions we're recruiting for, I look to see what is the person's most recent role.
Right. Okay.
And is it similar to the role I'm recruiting for? So if I'm recruiting for a mid-level management accountant, I'm going to quickly gloss over the profile and go, they're CPA, they've worked at da-da-da. And I'm like, what are they currently doing? And if there's a big gap, or the current role is, Delhi manager Coles Werribee, for the past 5 years, I'm like, oh, that's not going to go down well with the company.
Right. Makes sense. Completely makes sense.
So there's a few other little issues here. Again, expertise. They've just got like problem solving. Well, how have you problem solved? Give us an example. Process improvements. Fantastic. That's a really good thing to be an expert in. But how? We need a little bit of evidence there.
Right.
So that was resume 3. That would get a rejection. And then if we look at resume 2, which is it's not perfect, but it's very clean in its presentation. You can quickly see marketing coordinator profile. They've used bold formatting very cleverly to quickly show these are the skills I've got. I'm marketing coordinator. E-commerce is bold. It's probably in the job ad. So they're really pulling out the key skill that the company wants. E-commerce is in the job ad. They're telling me, hey, I've managed an e-commerce project. They've got a YouTube link in there. Fantastic evidence of a project. So profile statement, I would call this person up just reading the profile statement,
Right.
really. And then you've got the example of the key skills. You can see there you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those 5 should be the 5 from the job ad.
Okay.
So the job ad is basically from the company side or recruiter side, where we're telling you, this is who we want. This is what we want.
Giving you, so basically employers are already giving you what they need, and
Yeah.
you just have to effectively put that into your
Correct.
resume, and it makes, definitely, if they have given you, let's say, different segments, like these are the areas that hiring manager needs
Yeah.
to look at, and if you have already provided them in resume, you have to give them something that they can't challenge about,
Correct. Like, so for example, in the mid-tier firm you work at,
Yeah.
let's say that 90% of your clients and all the work you do is on MYOB,
Yes.
accounting software,
Okay.
hypothetically. Now, in the job ad, your director says, we need someone who has expertise in MYOB for BAS statements,
Yeah.
running, these reports, da-da-da. And if in your job application you put, I'm an expert in Xero. I have used Xero for 5 years. I know how to do this in 000.
Completely rejected, right?
Yeah, well, it's like, that's fantastic for you, but that's not what we want.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the catch for graduates is you may not have half of the things that the company's wanting, but you have to sort of fudge it, either quickly do some short courses or put transferable skills,
Right.
so that at least you're covering up, as much of the key skills in that the company's looking for. So hopefully this sort of resume too gives you a visual on what it should look like, particularly the first half of the resume.
Right. I think that's a good scrutiny. I think a good 5-second check. It looks like a 5-second check, but it took a lot of time,
Sorry.
a lot of things. So what it tells me is when someone is doing, you have to prepare a lot for just surviving that 5-second thing.
Yeah.
So it is the whole audition that you are doing, and if you're not able to pass that, like you'll not even reach the interview
Yeah,
stage.
100%.
That's really good. And I think someone who wants to, let's do it this way, because you told many things. Can you summarize this in a very brief version? Key things that you look at. Definitely people can go through this segment specifically, but key things, if you have to tell in 2 minutes, what will you say?
On the resume, you mean, or in general, or
In the 5-second test you
Yeah.
did, we are just summarizing in a very quick, short
Well,
term.
I think it's just doing the analysis on the job advertisement, identifying what are the top 5 things they want:
Yeah.
software skills, technical skills, soft skills, and making that super duper clear in the top half of the resume, particularly using bold. So whatever keyword is in the job ad, put that in bold if you have it, or demonstrated it through a project or short course. Put that in bold at the top. If you've done an internship, again, put that in the profile statement. So whatever field you're in, accounting, IT, engineering, healthcare, whatever, let's say you're applying for a software developer grad role and you've done a software developer internship with, let's call it TechnoWiz.
Right.
That should go in the profile statement right up the top. Completed internship as a software developer with TechnoWiz, where I deployed applications such as using JavaScript or Python. Bold those key software skills if it's in the job ad. So
Right. Yeah.
just to wrap up, what
Yeah.
you're trying to do is get inside the mind of the recruiter or the hiring manager. They know what they're looking for.
Right.
And your job is to put that right up close and personal in your resume or cover letter.
Right.
So you make it easy for them to go, I need a Python developer. The first sentence is, I'm a Python developer with expertise in A, B, C, D. It's like, okay, that's great. That's what I'm looking for.
Right. So the summary is, out of all 3, which one you accepted, which one you rejected, just in case someone got confused?
Well,
Yeah.
I like resume test number 2. That's the marketing
Right.
coordinator one.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all good. So you can maybe just have a look at in detail. We'll put these test resumes in the notes as well, so that you can download it and you can see it. But we'll put it on the screen as well. That's all good. Now I think let's get a bit more deep into it. Now we just had a 5-second check. We'll go through a job application first, and then we'll go through the detailed resume as well, so that people understand everything in a very good detail. And that's what you specialize in. So we want to get the best and maximum out of you.
Okay, no worries.
Okay. So I'm giving you a job ad, and that we'll put in the job notes as well, and we'll put it on the screen as well. So I'll give it to you, and you have a look at it, and you scrutinize it in the best possible way, and tell me what all things. And you've already told people, what to look in, and we'll just connect it that way.
Yep. So this is a graduate data engineering role with Macquarie Technology Group. First thing is it's posted 21 hours ago, so it's hot off the press. It's super recent. The bigger the company, the more time you have, because they usually will keep applications open for the 30 days and then do the shortlisting. But smaller companies, as soon as applications come in, they'll call and start the recruiting. So this is a traditional job ad where the first sort of half talks about the company, who they are, some awards, which is great. Now we look at the opportunity section. So it's a structured 2-year grad program. Reporting. So here they're starting to talk a little bit about the keywords. You'll get experience in building data platforms that power reporting, analytics, and AI. So I'm already now thinking, okay, reporting, analytics, and AI are somewhat keywords. You're going to work with data engineers. Okay, keyword here, cloud-based data solutions. 100% keyword is Microsoft Fabric, right? Now, if I'm thinking of applying for this role and I have no clue what Microsoft Fabric is, I'm going to start Googling it, using AI, going onto YouTube and figuring out what is it. If I have time, if I can do it, like a 3-hour LinkedIn learning course on it, I'm going to do it. Why am I going to do it? So I can put it on my resume and cover letter.
Right.
I'm not going to say I'm an expert in Microsoft Fabric. I'm not. But I'm going to say something like I have fundamental knowledge in Microsoft Fabric where it's used to do A, B, C, D. Okay? So that's definitely a keyword. Python, SQL, definitely keywords. Helping design data pipelines. Now, ideally, you would have done a project at uni or a unit where you've been involved in some sort of data pipeline design, development, testing, or something like that. So that's another keyword. As we keep reading through, there's no other keywords there. Last paragraph on page 1, they talk about AI tools. That's part of their recruiting process. So we may use AI in the hiring process, So that's all fine. So that's
they're
pretty
already
much,
telling you they're going to use AI in the hiring process. So you have
Correct.
to look all the things that Naren mentioned before and, make it that way.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much the main parts of that job ad. It's a really great job ad because it's given us plenty of keywords
Right.
to work with.
Right. So now we have now you have scrutinized the job ad perfectly. So everyone understands what the company is asking for. Now what we'll do is we'll look at the resumes. Like if someone applies at this company, how it will look. Now I'll give you a resume of a person, and then you scrutinize that,
Sure.
and then you tell us how you improve it and what it looks like later.
Sure. Just as a side note, obviously, like this is a massive
Yes.
company, and it's a 2-year grad program. Now, if you are like an international student, you may want to just do a bit of homework. And now I haven't gone through this to the next
Yes.
stages, but annoyingly, what happens with some of these jobs, at the end they'll say, choose the last questions, and another one is, confirm your residency status, citizen, PR, temporary visa, Sadly, it's a filtering thing. If you select temporary visa, it's an automatic rejection. unfortunately, that may rule out a lot of people that are non-citizens and
Yes.
PRs. So I think you've also got to be really clever with your time. If you know that this particular role is only for citizens, you may want to skip over it.
There's no point of putting that effort in.
I don't
If
think
the
so.
eligibility is that, I think the first, then let's think it that way. Now, as you have this job this, please tell me what is the first thing people should look at, and then just give me step by step. You have already given me the whole process, but
Yeah.
I just want 5 points. When
Sure.
you quickly look at it, what are the quick things you first go at, and then we'll move on to the resumes.
Yeah. So if I was a graduate applying for jobs, first thing I'm going to be looking at is, well, who's the company? Where are they located? And when was it advertised?
Right.
Is it out of date? Is it hot off the press?
Yes.
And then I'm going to quickly scan it to find out, like if I'm an international grad, I'm going to look at it and go, I think they're only going to take citizens. And I think unless they actually at the end, they say, we welcome all types of applicants from international graduates, da-da-da.
Do they normally mention that? Or
Sometimes they do.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes they actually be upfront and say citizens PR only.
Get it, yeah. I've seen that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, particularly for like defense jobs and government jobs. So, I would probably go, I think it's a grad role. I don't think they're going to consider me as an international grad.
Right.
I might reach out on LinkedIn I definitely would reach out to their talent acquisition team, send out connection requests, maybe even email. Sometimes they'll have like a HR email at the end.
I think sometimes I've seen some contact as well, a phone number, mobile number as well. Yeah.
Yes. So you could just contact them and say, look, is this position open for both citizens, PR holders, and temporary applicants, or is
Makes
it
sense,
da-da-da? And then I wouldn't apply for this if I was an international grad. I would only focus on small, mid-tier companies. Why? Because I think my probability is higher.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Completely makes sense. Now let's go on to the resume part now.
Sure. So let's assume this role, because there are roles with other companies that are open for non-PR and citizens. So we'll use it as a baseline. So we'll look at the first CV here. So we've got a big mistake at the top called a career objective. So if you have a career objective on your resume, remove it immediately and replace it with what I call a keyword optimized profile statement. And you can see in the better version, it's called data analyst profile. It's using.
So just for the audience, basically this is one resume that that is the standard one, and the one that is being improved based on Naren's expertise. So we'll put both of them. First, Naren will compare both of the resumes and tell you, so that you understand basically what all things should be removed and what all things should be added, and how to make it the best resume ever.
Cool. So we'll just go to the first one, which needs a lot of work. The second one is certainly a work in progress. A couple of things is even something very simple, such as your name.
Right.
So sometimes there's bias for people with non-Anglo names. So for example, I know for a fact when I was applying for jobs, when I put my full name, Naren Chellappah, if there were 3 other applicants, Stephanie Smith, Michael Jacobs, and Chris Stammis, and then Narendra Chellappah, I know for a fact they're going to look at my name and go, I reckon this guy, he may not even be in Australia, right?
Makes sense, yeah.
Or maybe English is like his second or third language, so there's already a bias. Now, I'm not saying you've got to change your name, but something, certainly don't put like 3 or 4 names on your resume, which can be difficult for people from like a Muslim faith, because sometimes you have 3 or 4 names that actually have a very strong meaning, so it may not be possible. So, for example, if your full name was, Karandeep, Yuvraj, da-da-da, you may just go as Karan, whatever your surname is.
Makes sense, yeah.
And so I drop the DRA and I just go as Naren Chellappah, I don't go as Narendra. I'm trying to shorten it and make it as much sort of Anglo as possible. So consider that with your name.
If possible, you do it. Otherwise, we can't do anything about
No.
it. That's completely fine. It's an important part, but it's not the deciding factor.
It's not the deciding factor, but if you Google this, there's tons of research studies, particularly in the US, where they've done research to show that I think it was African American sounding names were the most discriminated against, then Hispanic names. And they did a case study where an African American job seeker, not that African American names you can tell, but they made it quite obvious. And he changed his name to a real Anglo name, and 100 applications under an African American name that got rejected. When he changed it to an Anglo name, he got like 10, 15 interviews.
Oh, so that's actually a research thing,
Yes,
tested thing,
100%,
and
yep.
okay.
So it's just something to think about. You can see this person has the mobile and email, but they're missing a LinkedIn URL and the city that they're in.
Okay.
Okay.
Very important. Very
Yeah.
important. City, I think city is very important.
Definitely. And you don't have to put your actual address like, 2/25 Lygon Street, Carlton. Just put Carlton or just put Melbourne Vic.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can read the objective statement there. Never use this word seeking. Like I see this on so many graduate resumes. I'm seeking a position in your company. Seeking is the worst word you can use on a resume. Talk about how, it's not about what you're seeking or looking for. It's about what you can bring to the company. So instead of saying a Master of IT graduate is seeking the data analyst position, so the English is pretty bad. AI can clean that up. But I would be repositioning that to say, I'm a Master of IT graduate from CQ University, majoring in data analytics with expertise in Power BI, SQL, and Tableau for data visualization and da-da-da.
So basically, you're selling yourself.
Yes.
You're not asking, you have the skill and you're giving it to a company.
Yeah.
You're not just being like, please give me the job.
Exactly.
That's the difference, right? Yeah.
100%. So you've got to reposition your thinking around, how do I sell myself? And someone that sells himself won't say, can you give me this? You'll be like, hey, I can come to your company and do this as a data analyst.
Shows the confidence to the recruiter. Yeah.
Yep. So there's a lot of issues, in that profile statement. They say with internship experiences. That's great. They're showing, hey, I've got internship, but they haven't told us when, with who, and what did you do. You've got to sell that internship experience. As an intern with Data Informatica, where I leveraged my skills in da-da-da-da to solve complex data pipeline projects, including da-da-da.
Right.
So you've got to sell that experience. That's going to catch the reader's attention. I sometimes see this sort of pretty bad language. I'm prepared to meet the requirements of the job position. Right? It's like you're doing me a favor. So you could say, instead of I'm
and I
prepared.
think that's implied as well. It's not something to even mention, I feel like,
But you see it a lot.
Yeah, true.
So instead of saying I'm prepared to meet the requirements, just change the wording and say, I strongly believe I exceed the requirements needed in this role in Python and SQL, demonstrated through my recent master's project where I develop models to do da-da-da-da-da.
So basically, you're taking the checklist. What employer asked you for, you're telling that this is what you mentioned and this is what I have.
Yeah. They've got their key strengths, and that's pretty good. But again, those bullet points are they're not formatted correctly well. There's really bad language, like good master in conceptual thinking, data modeling, experience working in waterfall and agile environments. Now, that's clearly a good skill as a BA or a project manager or in software development. But if that's not in the job ad, remove it.
Right.
Okay. So that's sort of the first part of this resume. The rest is education is good to put that on page one as a key grad. Professional experience. You can see a little mistake there. Web design intern, 2025. So they haven't put the months or the time period.
Okay, so you actually need to give the whole period,
100%,
from
yes.
start to end. Okay.
Yep. And that's good that they've got that experience there. So that is page 1. Page 2, something that I encourage is to put in an academic project. They've got that there. They've got technical skills. That's really good. And they've got some professional affiliations and interests. All that's okay. So it's not a bad resume, but there are clearly some mistakes in there when we compare it to
mentioned so many
version
already.
2. Sorry?
You've already mentioned so many in it. So I
Yeah.
feel like if you're looking at it, you're looking from a recruiter lens, definitely like these are the minimums.
Yes.
Like you need to look at. And if
Yeah.
someone is having a better resume or,
Yeah.
you give a chance to the recruiter to actually, just screen it out.
Yeah. And nowadays
Yeah.
there are so many like free resume building software that you can use. There's so many AI tools.
Right.
You
Cool.
can just run this through.
Run this through.
So
Yeah.
another tip is I would put that job ad through, whether it's Gemini or
Yeah.
GPT, put it through, and you guys are already doing this, but
Right.
optimize it. Then don't just take the one from AI, then put your human touch on it.
I think one thing they can do is using AI in the best possible way is whatever Naren mentioned today, all the key things. Maybe you can just put it in your prompt that we need these
Yep.
areas to be corrected, and AI will do the next job.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Now, if we move to sort of the second version, you can see, great, they've brought in a LinkedIn profile, they've put the state and city. They've got a really nice keyword optimized profile statement at the top. They say, look, I'm a Microsoft certified data analyst. Now, what I would be doing, if we go back to the job ad, I would bring in all that stuff like Microsoft Fabric, Python, SQL, data pipeline, the stuff that we spoke about in the job ad analysis. Now it's time to weave those into this profile statement and key skills section.
Right.
So you can go through the profile statement, and if I remember correctly, they talked about cloud technology or cloud-based services. So this person's talking about, sound knowledge of Microsoft Azure. Great. So they're ticking all these boxes. You can see the key skills list here. So key analyst, it's probably missing, key data engineering skills. Bring those in. And they've got their internship there with the dates, Feb 2026 to April. What I really like about the way that they're doing their internship is they've got like a little 2-liner in italics about who the company is.
Right. So it gives the viewer exactly what they need to see.
Yeah, because a lot of the time you're going to do an internship with a startup or a small company that people may not know of. If they've got a really good website, put the website as well.
Okay.
So as a recruiter, I'm like, I've never heard of this company. Oh, let's go to Data Science Solutions. Click. Oh my God, they've got like 3 data engineers there. It's a legitimate company. And then you can just see the key responsibilities. On the second page, you can see they've brought in some really good key achievements. Okay. They've done a traineeship as well at JR Academy. Brilliant. And one of the best parts is this key data science project. Okay, so if you haven't done any internships in your field, showcase at least 2 of your big uni projects, as you can see here on page 2. So there's a lot of differences between the first resume and the second one.
Right.
And the standard you're aiming to get towards is that version 2.
Right. So basically, we'll put both the versions in. Version 1 is the one that is having a lot of mistakes in it, and version 2 is the one that you should actually look for. That all the things that were mentioned as mistakes in the version 1 are corrected or are shown better in version 2. So you can have that as a reference point, and you can make your resume like, I'll not say like exactly same. You just have to use the reference points that we have mentioned in this video, and you can just draft your next best resume. Yeah.
One last thing I'll just say about this resume writing activity is try not to rely on AI too much at the beginning.
Right.
Ultimately, whoever's preparing this resume, at some point will have to sit in front of the senior data scientist, a data engineer, and HR.
Right.
And you will have to talk in depth about each and everything on your resume.
Right.
So if you're using AI to talk about Microsoft Fabric and you go for an interview, or even on a phone screening interview, they will ask, so tell us about what you know about Microsoft Fabric. When have you used it? What were the challenges? And if you go, oh, well, Microsoft Fabric, it's a really great Microsoft product. It can be used for various things. A lot of big companies use Microsoft Fabric these days. And I really look forward to using it if I'm selected. You're going to get caught.
Right. I think the same thing, as you mentioned in the resume, it's not, it's basically you're selling it. You have to validate it in some way. The way, as you mentioned, if someone is talking to me, I can definitely tell this person does not know about it. This person just searched it on internet, what exactly it is. And because when you know about it, you talk about specifics.
Yes.
You talk about how you use that particular thing in a particular way. And I think the key, what I personally got out of this resume class you gave us is basically whatever you're mentioning it, just mention it with the validation.
Correct.
So that it makes sense for the recruiter as well, because they're seeing tons of resumes and they'll be like, which one, they have to choose out of many, and they'll be like, all of them have mentioned the same skill, but now they'll have to interview them to validate it. But if you've already done that part before, now high likely chances you are on the top 5, and it'll be the best thing.
Yeah. And it's the worst feeling. It's happened to me before where I've fudged something on my resume. I went for the interview and I got called out and I felt so small and really stupid.
Yeah.
Because they knew. They were like, this guy's clearly made some stuff up on his resume. And I'm like, I didn't feel so good.
I think that was a really good, I'll say, class on, it was entirely a class, because you mentioned everything that a person needs on a resume, and we'll provide both of these versions in the show notes as well, so that you can download it as well, and we'll show it on the screen as well, whichever way suits you better. And just keep it in your hand while you're listening what Naren mentioned in the past. You can just take 1 minute, in order to read the resume yourself first, and then identify the mistakes yourself, and then listen to this segment. It'll make a better way to understand everything. Now, I think once we have the resume, I'll take a lot of papers from you now.
Thank you.
Let's talk about LinkedIn, because we understand about how the job application work. We understand about what all resume, when we are applying for it. Now we are moving on to a segment where recruiters reaches you out rather than you applying for the jobs directly, and that is the best source is LinkedIn, according to me, and you already mentioned that back. So now I'll give you 2 profiles on LinkedIn, and you just tell me the same way you scrutinize the job application and the resumes, you scrutinize them, and please tell the audience what can be done in order so that their LinkedIn profile shines as well.
No worries. So I think we've just got 2 sort of profiles here. The first one, which is clearly missing some basic things like a keyword optimized headline statement. They've got data scientists, that's fine, but now LinkedIn gives you, I think they've increased the character count, so you can put in lots of keywords in your headline statement. J. Chandra, it's just like first initial, obviously, so we need your proper name. Missing a photo, so that's like a basic thing to get right.
Yeah. True. So we call it profile 1 and profile 2. Naren is discussing about profile 1 right now.
Yeah. So definitely put a professional LinkedIn profile photo, and then a background as well, I think is important to match the industry that you're in. You can see the next sort of profile here. We've got the gentleman's proper name, and you can see he's got some really interesting keywords related to his field of data science. And he's got like a relevant background. And the other thing you can see here is the connections. So Jay Chandra has 57 connections, and this chap here has 1,700 followers and 500 plus connections.
What does employer see? And what is the reaction of employer when they see these?
It's just the credibility. It's like, okay, well, this guy here, Devon, he's clearly well connected. He's got lots of peers. He's probably got lots of colleagues.
Right.
And it's just a trust factor, credibility factor, where I would much rather connect with someone who's, active on LinkedIn. It just shows, okay, this person is well known. The risk factor if I hire them is a lot lower than some other candidate who doesn't have any connections and is not really active in their industry. So LinkedIn is like the most powerful tool nowadays to uncover jobs in the hidden job market. So before you start using LinkedIn as part of your job strategy, you need to optimize your profile, which means basic things like a professional photo using a keyword optimized headline statement. You can see the difference between the two profiles. One has a keyword optimized profile statement, the other one doesn't. And the other thing is once your profile is up to date, so you've got a really detailed About Us section as well. I think we'll have an example to show you of a really good About Us section. Then you start connecting. Ideally, you want to build up your connections to over 500. LinkedIn will automatically toggle you to 500 plus, like you can see in one of the examples. And you can get followers as well. And that's just a credibility thing. Anyone that has less than 500, it looks like you're not well connected on LinkedIn or you're not very active as a professional. It's just a funny thing that it's a visual thing when you see less than 500. So LinkedIn, you've got to optimize your profile. Recruiters are actively searching for candidates on LinkedIn, and we're using keywords or we use the recruiter tool on LinkedIn to find candidates. Other basic things like if you are job searching, toggle the green open to work feature on so you show up in recruiter search results as well. And LinkedIn works very similar to search engines where the more keywords you have in your profile in the optimized headline statement and your about section, internships, projects, for example, data engineering, if that's a type of role that the recruiter's keen to find candidates in Melbourne, having your location as city, state, Australia. Don't put your suburb, just put Melbourne or Sydney or Canberra.
Right.
And then use that keyword data engineering or keywords from your field as much as you can through your profile.
So just thinking that way, if someone wants to find it like what you're doing, you just have to tell them. And the way of telling is basically putting that in your LinkedIn profile. And if a recruiter is finding you, let's say if they are finding someone who is specialized in a particular software, they'll search for that software, they'll put their filters on. And if you have already put those keywords in your profile, you'll get connected.
Correct, yeah. So having a really optimized profile statement, especially when you're trying to build connections, think of it like your shop front. So if you're looking to buy lunch and you walk past a cafe and it's empty and it looks a bit dark and it doesn't look like clean and it doesn't look like they've got current fresh produce, you're not going to go in there.
Right.
Whereas if you walk past another cafe, there's people in there, great lighting, there are waiters and people serving food. You'll be like, I'm going to eat there. Right. Same thing. It's like it's your shop front.
I think that's very good information. So we'll put both of these in the show notes as well. So you can have a look at it and you can put your keywords according to what's mentioned. And the key thing that Naren mentioned was improve getting more connections. So like make it a habit and get more connections. Now, as we are moving on to the end, it has been incredible information that we have got out of this, and let's summarize it into a small key action plan for people. Now, what is an action plan you give to the students right now?
It depends where you are on your journey, whether you're just starting uni, you're a skilled migrant, or even a domestic graduate or an international graduate. Pick your target. Break it into small, achievable targets. So, for example, if you need to get a job offer because you've only got 2 years of a visa, or maybe you moved to a new city as a domestic student, your target is to get interviews. For me, that's the objective.
Right.
If you're not getting interviews, you're not getting an offer. And then you've got to work out what are all the critical activities I need to do to support me in getting interviews. Reaching out on LinkedIn, recruiter engagement, Seek profile, keyword optimizing my applications, maybe deploying agents to try and apply for jobs on my behalf, outreach to companies, and be strategic. So a final quick tip for me is if I'm looking to get a job as a civil engineer in Melbourne, I'm going to find all the civil engineers employed in Melbourne. And I'm going to find which companies do these guys work at. Big ones, small ones, medium ones, whatever. And then I'm going to find who runs this company. and then I'm going to either knock on the door on the office and go in, or I'm going to try and network my way to an interview. So, jobs are not just going to land on your lap. Sometimes they do, for those of you who are really fortunate. But for the most of us, we have to work really hard.
Right.
And so I think if you can implement some of the things I've spoken about today and work hard and don't give up, while getting rejections is really disappointing, and it happened to me for 12 months after I finished my degree, it shouldn't define you. And if you stay positive, don't just repeat the same mistakes by sending out generic applications and sending one connection a week. It's not going to work. Be proactive. Try and get some internship experience. Build up your profile, and opportunities, I think, will come your way.
Thank you so much, Naren. So I think it was people who will listen this episode and implement all the things Naren mentioned. I feel like the job search is gonna get very easy. And if there's any point you got confused in something, you can reach out Naren on his socials, LinkedIn. We'll mention that on the description as well, and he will be happy to answer you. I think all the basic queries that people have, and I think all the services he has as well. If you are still stuck, if you're not able to get the job, you can utilize those services, and I think Naren will try his best to get you your first successful graduate role.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
and
thank you so much.
Good luck to all of you. Thank you.